in this one, we're going to look at conditionals. So on the left-hand pane under Actions, we've got this conditionals section. And this gives us a few different ways to choose a path, is pretty much what it boils down to. So we've got a standard if statement. So if this, then do this kind of thing. We've got an else. So we can have an if do this or else do that situation. We have an else if, which is a more specific. Then we have a switch statement, which is kind of just a more advanced if set, and then the case and default case relate to the switch statement. So I'll go through each of these and you can see how they all work. The one that you will use the most, like always, is going to be the if statement. So this just gives us a few different options to say if this, then this. So in this instance, let's say if button pressed, and this is something else to note with your variables, you get this little, when I click into this field, input box, I get this little pop-up X here, and that's offering me to select a variable. So that will actually go through and work out what are all the variables that are available in this flow. And I can see I've got button pressed here and user input because they come from the input dialog. And I can also click the drop-down arrow for each of them and see what kind of properties that they have. They might have, because these ones are both text, they'll have exactly the same kind of properties. But if we had a date time variable, then it would have date time related properties and methods. So in this instance, all we're interested in is just the button pressed itself, because as we saw up here, if I click cancel, it gets cancel stored in it. If I click OK, it gets OK clicked in it. So let's say if it's equal to, and just so you can see, there's lots of different options here for this condition, whether it's equal to or not, greater than, less than for numerical values, whether it contains certain text or doesn't contain that certain text, empty, not empty, and so on. And so for this one, we're going to say if button pressed is equal to OK, the string OK, then we'll do something. At the moment, we're not going to do anything. So let's put the click event in there, and then let's add an else in there. And we don't need an else if, because in this instance, it's either going to be OK or it's going to be cancel. So we'll just have the else, and we'll put another click in. But this click, we will just open up. Oh, so I clicked on it and then just copied and paste. You can just do the standard Control-C and Control-V. I'll just delete that again. So you can do it here. You can right click on it and choose copy and then paste, or you can do it with the keyboard, or you can do it with the menu up here. But it's just the standard that you use in all applications, Control-C, Control-V, copy and paste, and then I've just dragged it down to be under the else. At the moment, they're doing exactly the same thing, though. They're both going to click in that address bar. So for this one, let's click in the Google search box. I'll just move my mouse over to here to be above the Google search input box, and then I hit Control-Shift, and that will grab the coordinates, puts it in there for me, and I just hit save. So now you can see the first one is coordinates of 2861 and 90, and then the second one is 2826 and 556. So they're different places on the screen that they're clicking on. So let's just run that and see what it does. So it gives us the dialog. That's the message there. We're going to change the number, and then we're going to try clicking OK. And it's gone through and it said, OK, it's gone to, you clicked OK. So we're going to do the click up here, and then we can run it again. And this time we'll choose the cancel option, and you can see it goes to the else there. And the other thing, and so it's opened up this search box instead. The other thing, I'm just going to change this to be let's say 500, so half of a second, just so that we can see the thing stepping through. In fact, I'll make it a whole second, so 1000, and I'm just going to hit save. It's really important to regularly save your flows as you're working on them. It's not being automatically saved in the background, so it's something to keep in mind, especially if your machine crashes often. Then make sure you save after every change that you make in the editor. Okay, so that's the if, else, end kind of situation there. So your basic conditional route option, and you can add multiple else ifs in here. And let's say if, even though we've only got two options, let's say if, well, actually we can use it as well. Let's put the button pressed is equal to cancel, and then let's add another click, but this time the click, if we press cancel, is going to open up a new tab. So we'll grab the cursor position there. Okay, so we'll just hit save. So now when I run it, we're going to get the standard display input dialog. This time though, every step is going to it's going to take a second for each step to be processed because of that change down the bottom there in the screen. So let's just say 5,000. So this time I'm going to hit cancel, and so it'll go into that else if, and then it's going to click and open up a new tab for us, and then it went through in the end. And you can see that it was stepping through now and taking a second per step, which is good. Okay, so we've got two options. Now, the reason I added the else if there, I just want to check. I'm pretty sure clicking the close button just adds it in as cancelled. Oh, there isn't a close button. Okay. Yeah, so you've literally only got two options, either okay or cancel. And if you hit escape on the keyboard, then it's going to do cancel. So this, in this instance, this else option at the moment will never get hit, because it's always going to be finding either the okay button or the cancel. Okay, and so let's just look at the switch statement function as well. So the value to check. So this one is slightly different in that it's going to say, give us the value. So we still can say the button pressed. And so it's just got the switch in the end. This is where the case comes in. So we'll add the case here, and we'll say the case is equal to okay. And we might say we've got a default case, which means if it doesn't find any of the options, if it doesn't match on any of them, then it'll process this one. You might not want that, and so you can just get rid of it and just say don't. If you don't find a match, then don't do anything. But if you always want to do something, then default case is handy. And then we'd have the case for cancel as well if we wanted it. And if we had different options, we could list all of those out. But it's the same kind of thing if we just copy and paste those down, cancel. And so we can see it. And so what we might actually just do is I'm just going to click on this first if statement, then hold down shift on my keyboard and then click on the end. And this has highlighted all of those actions. And then I'm going to right click on them and choose disable action. So at the moment they're disabled, so they go grayed out a little bit. And we're just going to hit save. And then I'm just going to run it again so you can see the switch statement is doing pretty much the same or exactly the same thing, just in a slightly different way. So we've got the number and we're going to hit OK. We can see it go down to the switch statement, hit the case where it says OK, and then do that mouse click. So this is really useful where you do have a range of switches and you don't want it to have to go through, is this the one, is this the one, is this the one, is this one? It jumps straight to whichever one it is and processes that. And so it's useful when you have either a lot of things that you want to check, or things like you might have ranges of something, different numbers, things like that. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for the conditionals.